Okay, so here's a look at my schedule for the week. I am out visiting a classroom for the day and then doing some planning on Tuesday, so I will not be in. There will be a supply teacher on that day. We also are supposed to have some visiting teachers. I think there's about 4 of them coming on Friday. So the family Fridays will be canceled this week then. But the rest of the week is fairly normal. So everything is down in terms of the times and the duties and stuff. So you can see also where the students are going for the week. Okay, so for language this week, on Monday, we're going to kind of continue with the language of probability, which I know matches up a bit with math as well, but a lot of the students were writing some different stories and stuff and trying to use the language. So what I like to do is kind of tie it in. They really want to finish with it, so that we can review some different examples and kind of look at what might constitute unlikely versus less likely versus more likely, because it is the middle ones that make it a little harder, and kind of making sure that we understand that language, and then looking at expanding on some of the ideas, which will come and link with our writing expectations as well. On Tuesday, we're still going to look at the idea of expanding ideas, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a sentence that the students will look at bumping up together, and then kind of having them look at their own writing on whatever content they decide to write about in terms of how can they add some more of those details to give the reader a better understanding of what's being said. So we'll do one together and then kind of work with it. For some of the students that are maybe only able to write some simpler sentence, looking at how they can orally expand on those ideas as well. And then Wednesday is Weekly Wednesday, and we do have the new routine, so we'll be feeding the worms with kind of our new schedule as well, which was updated a bit with some specific jobs that the students have looked at signing up on, but also looking at having some discussions about the marsh and the plants and the worms as well, and what we can do to take care of them, and finding out, I think, a little bit more about marshes, because while students seem to know a lot about snails, they're still just kind of learning about the marsh. So I'd like to dig into that one a little bit more on Wednesday as well. On Thursday, I thought we could do some writing connected to the dinosaur park the students are going to start building with one of the grade 7 students that is coming down to kind of discuss dinosaurs with us. He's been teaching us some stuff about them and what they need, and kind of connecting it to the living things. And then weather permitting, looking at going on a walk in the community and kind of see the print that's in the community. So signs, labels, things like that. What do they say? What do they mean? And then looking at how we can incorporate this into our own community that we're working on together for the dinosaurs. And depending on how they do and what their comfort level is, this could even be something that they share with another class from there too, so they can kind of see what they might like. That might be something that would interest them. And then on Friday, we will be having some visiting teachers and stuff. That's the plan. So we'll be looking a little bit at mapping and connecting it to the dinosaur ideas from the past couple of days. Also trying to connect to maps for different student interests. So some different topics and things that the students like. What might maps look like in their world, and kind of looking at how to create the maps, looking a little bit more at the legend part, and then even looking at, I'd like to bring in some music, because a lot of the students are really interested in trying to create their own songs, so linking some songs with direction so that they could write some of their own as well. So in math this week, Monday is going to be our Math Talk Mondays, and we're going to try to create some art pieces for this TEDx event that's taking place on Thursday this week. So we're going to link the discussion that we have to kind of the idea of peace and happiness in our community, and then the students are going to apply what they've learned to create their own pieces that represent that peace and happiness idea in the community, and that will hopefully be there to share for Thursday, so we can give it to the people to use for that. And then on Tuesday, it will be when I'm not there, but we're going to do kind of a talking Tuesday and look at some of George Hart's 3D artwork, and then we're going to create together using different materials in the classroom. So the students are going to get a chance to actually make some 3D artwork. There are going to be some different images and things that can help them out, and then kind of explore the properties of the 3D figures as they look at trying to put pieces together to create cubes, rectangular prisms, that kind of thing, that kind of aligns with the artwork that George Hart did. And then on Wednesday, we're going to look at the creating a home for the snail in the marsh. This was connected with an idea that the Job Action Committee had this week, which was to make something where the snail could stay kind of safely in the marsh. So we're going to look at creating a design, looking at different options, thinking about the size of what the home would have to be, considering the size of where our mini marsh is, and kind of scale down the prototype to something that could actually fit in the snail's home, and look at the materials that they would have to use to build with so that it's safe for the snail. And then Thursday and Friday is kind of a combination day. We're going to look at, first of all, the math and the dinosaur communities, and how can we share this with others, because if we're going to be sharing the dinosaur communities with others, it'd be neat to point out some of the math and the importance of this math. So why does it matter? And looking at how they can document this math learning. And then we're going to start looking at some catapults and how to create them, and how to make the objects fly different distances. And we're going to use kind of a marshmallow challenge. And I've got different size marshmallows, so different weights as well, which will help them kind of think about the impact of the weight on the distance that it flies, as well as how they can change their catapult design to make it fly a further distance or less far. We'll go into all kinds of things about the materials used, the math and the designs, what do they notice. Also adding and subtracting the number of marshmallows that actually make it or do not make it into the given area. And then if there's time, I'd like to link it with the Angry Birds structure design. So looking at the idea of Angry Birds, which many of them have played and know and talk about, that there is an image of like a structure that would be knocked down, usually with like a slingshot, is what the Angry Birds use. Well, what would the impact of a catapult have, and would that make the structure fall? And then where would we have to put it so that it would make it fall? That the catapult that they have would allow for the marshmallow to hit the structure so that it did fall. So we could kind of explore the idea of distance and what happens as we move it closer, and what happens as we move the catapult further away. So we could kind of play with a few different options. Okay, so last week we just kind of started looking at this Color My Mood. We did some other shared reading stuff as well during the week, but I'd like to re-explore it, especially with the idea of music this week. So I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to actually create some different music based on how we feel, and how does this music make you feel, and how can you make a happier song or a sadder song, and how could we document what that song might actually look like, and how could we play it, and how it might change the song to make something that was happy before sound sad. So what could be some changes that we can make? So it kind of even explores the concept of patterns in music too, which has a nice little tie-in to math. And we've explored it a bit in the past, but this is a nice way to kind of tie it into this specific song.